Makers, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make stripy ground. Okay, so we're going to code a mod that actually you can call it stripy ground. We're also going to make checkered ground. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that means. So I've made the mod here and I press save and deploy, and here it is in the Minecraft world. So the one I've made is actually going to make checkered ground. So you see I've got all this checkered ground here, and as I walk through the Minecraft world, it's taking the block that I moved to and it's turning it to either purple wool or pink wool. Okay, so if you see, the next one I go to is going to be pink, and then purple, pink, purple. Okay, so what we're doing is we're creating what's called a simple little algorithm that will determine what color we need to make the ground beneath us, and it makes this really cool checkered pattern. Okay, and you don't have to use pink and purple. Obviously you can use any colors or any kind of block types that you like. I can even jump up here and it should work. See, when I'm going through the air it's not doing anything, but if I land somewhere, whoop, oh look, so I could color in the whole world pretty much in this checkered pattern, which is pretty fun. I really like the checkered pattern. Awesome, cool. So that's what it is. So I'm just going to jump out of Minecraft, and I'm actually going to, whoops, I might just make that bigger so you can see better. Now I'm going to undeploy that, and I want you to create a new mod. So we're going to go into the mods page, so mods over here, and then we're going to say new mod. And you might just want to set a name for your mod. So I'm going to call mine checkered ground and name my mod. Done. Okay, so that allows me to come back to it later. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to figure out what event is going to trigger our code to run. So if you saw what I was doing when I was walking through the Minecraft world, something's happening when I move to a new block. Okay, so it's not happening now because I turned off the mod, but every time I move to a new block it would change something. Okay, so that would trigger our code to run. So that's the event that we're going to use. Now go back into your code and we're actually going to go down to events. So events is in yellow over here. Open that up and go to player. And there's this one here that says when my player moves to another block at location. Okay, so let's take that and we'll put it here. So it's saying when my player moves to another block at location, what we want to do is we want to find the block beneath where the player is kind of like the block beneath this one block. And what that means is when I move through Minecraft, we basically want to find the block beneath our feet. Okay, so not the block that we're currently standing in, but the block we're currently standing on. So sorry if that's a little confusing, but hopefully you'll understand. I'm going to show you how. So firstly, let's just change the block we're standing in to, say, purple wool. Okay, so we go to blocks, type, and we can say set type of block. Okay, so block is referring to the block that we've moved to, and I'm going to pick purple. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to pick, I might just do different colors. What if I do black and white? That'll be nice. What if I say white wool? Let's just wool. Wool, white wool. Okay, so I'm going to change it to white wool. Save and deploy. Okay, now look what happens. Okay, I walk through the Minecraft world and see how it wasn't actually the block I was standing on. It's almost like it pushes me out of the way, because it's, as I move to a new block in the Minecraft world, it's actually changing the block that I'm standing in. Okay, so it gives you this kind of not very nice effect where I'll show it from a different perspective. You should notice this too when you try and do it. It's like kind of like it's pushing you around because it's making the air block that you're standing in, it's making that block solid. And so you get this effect. Like, that's not very nice. We don't like that very much. So what we need to do instead is, instead of turning the block we're standing in to white wool, we want to find the block beneath our feet and change that one to white wool. So we're going to create a variable. Remember, a variable is orange, these ones here. A variable is like a storage container that we're going to use to store the block beneath our feet. So put variable in there, and then on this drop down we're going to say new variable, block beneath my feet. Okay, so set block beneath my feet to, and this time we want to go down to blocks, object, and we're going to take this one here with the little notch, okay, and put it in here. Okay, so we've used this a few times before. Remember, we've got the X, Y, and Z coordinates, which kind of tells you the location of a block in the Minecraft world. The Y coordinate is going to control how high up in the Minecraft world it is. So if we want to find the block that is one block beneath our feet, we actually put Y as -1. Okay, so it's -1, so minus is beneath, and 1 is one block beneath. Okay, so basically saying one block beneath, and then we move block in here. Okay, so what we're saying is we're creating a little storage container called block beneath our feet, and then we're finding the block kind of beneath us and storing it in there. And then we want to take this out, pop that in the bin, and we want to set the type of block beneath my feet to white wool. Okay, so we go over here and then we go to variables. We find block beneath my feet and we just pop it in there. Okay, so what we've said so far is when my player moves to another block, we want to find it. Over here we're saying we want to find the block that's one block below where we are. Okay, so basically the block that we're standing on, and we're going to call that block beneath my feet. And then we're going to set the type of the block beneath my feet to white wool. Okay, so let's save and deploy and see what happens over here. Okay, so there we go. I can't actually get down onto the ground. Okay, so you'll notice that when I'm on the ground as I'm walking along, that seems to be working fine. But kind of a little bit annoying is even air is actually a block. It's just a block of type air. Okay, so what you'll notice is even when I'm flying, it's, you know, making these blocks which kind of don't really want. I want the computer to only change the block beneath my feet to white wool if that block is not air. Okay, so to do that, let's go back into our code. Okay, so let's think about how we might do that. Why don't we check what the type of block beneath my feet is, and if it's not air, then we're going to set the type to white wool. Okay, so that probably sounds like a good way of going about it. So let's think about what we'd do there. We're going to use an if statement. So we've used if statements before. We go to flow, which is in the red color, conditionals. Okay, so we're going to use this if statement. So we're going to take this and we're actually going to put it underneath where we found block beneath our feet, because we need to find block beneath our feet and then we need to check if block beneath our feet is not air. Okay, so it needs to go, if needs to go underneath, like after we've already found the block beneath my feet. Okay, so we're saying if, and then we want to ask if it's the block is not air. So let's just go down here. We'll go to blocks, we'll go to type, and we'll find this one here that's actually asking a question. Block is stone. So let's take that. We're just going to put it here. And we're going to say air. Okay, we're going to say air. And then we're going to go to variables and we want to ask the question, block beneath my feet is air. Now, if we put that in there, what we're saying to the computer is we're saying find the block beneath our feet, and then if the block beneath our feet is air, then we're going to set the type of block beneath my feet to white wool. Now there's a problem with this, so I'm just going to show you what it is. We've missed a bit in here. So, okay, so I'm walking through air and it's changing block beneath my feet to white wool. But let's see what happens when I go down to the ground. Okay, now that I'm walking on the ground, it's not changing the block beneath my feet to white wool. We actually want to do the opposite of that. Okay, so do you see what's happening? So if I'm walking through here, it's not changing it to white wool. Oh, it's a zombie horse. Skeleton horse. What is that? Oh, cool. Okay, so, but then when I go through the air, that's when it is changing the block to white wool. So what we're going to do is we are going to reverse this. Okay, so instead of checking if the block beneath my feet is air, we want to ask if it's not air. Okay, so go to operators. So it's a blue one, operators, logic. And there's this one down here that says not true. Okay, so let's take this, and actually if we just snap it in there, it'll automatically put that in here. So what the computer's doing is it's saying if block beneath my feet is air, and then when we say not, it's actually asking the question if block beneath my feet is not air. Okay, if that makes sense. So if I press save and deploy, we should have the desired effect happening. So, okay, now I can run through air. It's not changing the block beneath my feet, but as soon as I hit the ground, perfect. Okay, so see how it's coloring in the ground. But you'll notice that it's just one color. We haven't done anything clever with making it a different color based on a pattern or anything like that. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. So in order to do that, we're going to have to use some logic, okay? We're going to have to review our knowledge of our X and Z coordinate system. So I've got some little diagrams here. Might just put this in presentation mode. Aha! And then do this. This might be a bit better. Okay, so this is the first pattern that we're going to try and do. We're going to make stripes, okay? So see how all these blocks have been colored in pink and all these purple, and then pink, purple, and then later on we'll do checkers. Okay, so let's review X and Z coordinate systems in the Minecraft world. So we're going to pretend that we are looking down on Steve, okay? So see how it kind of looks like we're looking down on Steve from the sky, okay? So it's kind of like a bird's eye view. We've got X. So all the blocks in the Minecraft world have a number attached to them that's like an X, okay? So for this particular block, for instance, X is 1 and Z is 1. So this block would have a number attached to it that says X is 1 and then Z is 1. Now, what would this block be? This block would be so this block of water here, X is 3, Z is 2. And then the block that Steve is standing on is X is 7, Z is 3, okay? So you can see how just by giving two numbers, we can tell someone exactly where the location of something is. Okay, so we can say Steve is standing in X equals 7, Z equals 3, and then immediately anyone can go and find where Steve is standing, okay? So this is all happening behind the scenes in the Minecraft world with all the blocks. So all the blocks have these values associated with them, an X and a Z. So if we want to create a pattern on the ground, let's have a look at what that might look like. So what we'll notice here with this stripy pattern is that let's look at what X is. All the pink ones, actually let's look at all the purple ones. All the purple ones, what's the value of X? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on and so on. So, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, they would all be purple. So as long as it's got an X value, that is 2 or 4 or 6, 8, then it's going to be colored in purple and everything else can be pink. Okay, so what's the way of um, checking that? Why don't we just ask the computer the question, is the x value, oops, is the x value of a particular block, the block beneath our feet, is it even? Okay, because see how 2, 4, 6, 8, they're all even numbers, okay? So basically, if the x value is even, then let's color it purple, but otherwise, let's color it in pink. So hopefully that is making sense to you. So to do that, we're going to use another if block, okay? So let's go to conditionals, if, and we're going to put that in there, okay? So we're going to, and let's just take that and put that in there. So if something, then we want to set block beneath my feet to white wool. We'll also go to conditionals, okay? So conditionals is in red, and we're going to say else, okay? So this is basically saying otherwise, like for everything else, we want to, and we can copy and paste this, we want to set the block to say black. I'm going to do black wool, so this is going to create a nice black and white pattern. Black wool, okay. Okay, so if something, then we want to make the block beneath my feet white wool. For everything else, we want to make it black. Now, what I'm going to do, or actually, what I might do is, just because I've got pink and purple in the diagram, I'm just going to change this to purple, just so it's making more sense to you. And it matches up to the diagram. So purple, and then I'm just going to make this one pink. Pink wool, pink, 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 pink. Here we go. Okay, so next we've got to actually get the computer to check if the x value of the block beneath our feet is even. So to do that, we're actually going to create another variable. So let's go to variables, set item 2, and we're going to put it up here. And we're going to say new variable, and then we're going to call this location of BBMF. Okay, so location of BBMF. Then we're going to go down to blocks, object, and we're going to take this one that says get location of, add Minecraft block here. Take this, put it in there, and then in here we want to put the variable block beneath my feet. Variables, block beneath my feet. Okay, so what's that done? So what we've done is we found the block beneath my feet, and now we basically, it's kind of like the block beneath my feet has some information attached to it, okay? And that information is 3 numbers, x, y, and z coordinate, okay? So that, and what we say is we call that the location. So what we're doing here is we're basically kind of capturing those 3 numbers all together by taking the location of block beneath my feet. If that doesn't make much sense, don't worry too much about it. It's a little bit more advanced concept, but it is what we need to do in order to check. Okay, so basically what we've done is we've just found the location, the particular location, so just the x, y, and z coordinate of the block beneath my feet, and that's stored here in this variable. So the next thing we're going to do is we want to check if the x value of that block beneath my feet is, if that is even. So let's go down to numbers, open that up, and we'll find one that says some kind of number is even. So pop that in there. Okay, so if it's even, we need to put a number in here. So we want to find, go to world, and then go to location. And we're going to take this second one here that says get x from add location here. Okay, so take this and we're going to put that in here. So this is basically going to take the x value of a particular location in the Minecraft world. So remember, a location is made up of an X, Y, and Z, and this is just going to take the X part of it, which is just a number. And then we need to tell it what location to look at. So we want it to look at the location of the BBMF, block beneath my feet. So go to variables, and we take location of BBMF. Okay, so we're saying if the X value of the block beneath my feet is even, then we want to set the block beneath my feet to purple wool. But for everything else, we're going to set it to pink. So let's go save and deploy and see what happens. So, whoops. Okay, so see this way. Okay, so obviously all of these, because they're being colored purple, all of these are at some kind of even X value. But as I move over, now I'm standing in an odd X value. And so if I run up here, then I'm not very good at this. Okay, and now I'm in an even one again. And then if I do another stripe, oh, now the block beneath my feet is an odd X value. Okay, so we get this kind of stripy effect happening. You can run all over the Minecraft world and color it in a stripy pattern. And okay. Anyway, you get the idea. Very cool. So we can even do it here. Woo! Okay, so odd, even, and then odd. Okay, even, and then odd. Okay, so we get this stripy pattern. Very cool. Now the challenge is going to be figuring out how do we make a checkered pattern. So at the moment we've just got stripes. To make a checkered pattern, let's have a look at what we do. So this is what a checkered pattern looks like. This is the end result, okay? So it's all alternating. But let's just focus on kind of, if you see the difference between that, we're just focusing on these. How do we turn these particular blocks purple and everything else pink, okay? So just these blocks purple and everything else pink. To do that, what we're going to do is we need to look at what do these purple blocks have in common. Okay, so this one here is at x equals 2, z equals 2. This one here is at x equals 2, z equals 4. This one is at x equals 4, z equals 2, x equals 6, z equals 2. What you'll notice if you look carefully is that all of these blocks have x being even and z being even. Okay, so 2 and 2, 4 and 2, 8 and 2. You'll notice that there are no x or z values that are odd. They're all even. So what we want to do is we want to tell the computer to check if the x value is even and the z value of that block is even as well. Okay, so let's do that. Go back to our code, and we're going to go to this one here. We're going to create a new variable just to store this information. So let's put that here. Okay, and what are we going to call that variable? Well, we are going to call it, we'll go new variable. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to call it, I'm just thinking of like a good name. Let's just say both even. Okay, so or let's just say x and z is even, question mark. Okay, so x and z is even. So we're asking a question, is the x and z even? And this answer is either going to be true or false. The answer we're going to store in here is going to be true or false. Okay, so now that we've done that, we're going to go to operators, and then we go to logic. And we want to find this one and true and true. So let's take that. let's just put it over here, or put it down here, because I want to kind of start to assemble this because it's quite a long one without it being muddled up in all the other code. Okay, so true and true. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this one. So if x is even, we're going to take that and pop it in there. Okay, so what we've said so far is if x is x, the x location of if the x of that block is even, that'll be true. And let's just put that in, copy paste and put that in, and we want to say if the z is also even. Okay, so this might be a little confusing, but all we're asking is, in this, we're saying find the x value and check if it's even, find the z value, check if it's even. If both of them, okay, if both of them are even, then it's going to be true, and if not, then it's going to be false. Okay, so let's put that in here. Okay, so the answer to this question here is going to be stored in this variable. So this variable will either be, true or false. Okay, so we're going to then say if, go to variables, and then we're going to say x and z is even. Okay, so if x and z is even, then we're going to color it purple, but otherwise everything else is going to be pink. So let's press save and deploy. And look what happens. Okay, so we're going to need to, so that's happening. Okay, so what you'll notice is those purple ones would all have an x value and a z value that are both even. And now, look at this. If I walk through here, nothing in that row has an x value and a z value that are both even. But I can do this now. And okay, so we're starting to get that pattern that we saw in our diagram, like this. Okay, so we're actually halfway there to making our checkered ground. Okay, so you'll see how that's happening. We're creating a nice pattern on the ground. Okay, so now that we've done that, okay, so we've got this pattern happening. We want to get that pattern happening. So all these other alternate ones that we've just filled in. So see how these other ones have just filled in, the difference between those two. Let's look at those. So this one, for instance, 1 and 1, 3 and 1, 5 and 1. What about 3 and 3? What you'll notice is for all of these other ones, x is odd and z is odd. Okay, so if x is odd and z is odd, then we're going to color it purple. Otherwise, we're going to color everything else pink. So what we're going to do then is we're going to go to variables. We're going to create a new variable. So we say set item 2, and we go new variable, and this time we're going to say x and z is odd, question mark. Okay. So we're asking a question, is x and z odd? We can actually just copy and paste this whole thing, put it in here, and you can probably figure out what we need to change. Instead of asking the question, is x even and is z even, we want to say, is x odd and is z odd? Okay, and if x is odd and z is odd, then this variable is going to be true. If x is odd and say z is even, then this variable is going to be false. So every other outcome is going to be false. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we will need to say if x and z is even or x and z is odd, then color it purple, otherwise everything else is pink. So to do that, we go to operators, logic, and then we use this. Okay, so put that in there, and then we want to say if x and z is even or x and z is odd. So go to variables, we want to find x and z is odd. Pop that in there. Perfect. Okay, so Save and deploy. Now we're going to jump into Minecraft and let's see what happens. Awesome. Okay, so every second one. And now we should get checkered effect happening here as well. And it's working, okay? So there we go. So look how I'm coloring in perfectly. The ground is all checkered. So this is kind of complex logic for you guys. I mean, if you understand what's happening, that's really, really, really good. Because it does cause you to, we call this kind of like a simple algorithm. We're figuring out the logic of when are we going to color something in, when are we going to color it in purple, when are we going to color it in pink. We're using a bit of maths to figure that out. So if you figured this one out, fantastic job. A little bit of problem solving happening. So have a go if you have some time, and you'll also see that nothing's happening when I walk through air because it's only going to color it in when I walk through on the ground, okay? So if the block beneath my feet is not air. So what I would do is have a go at maybe trying some different patterns, some different bits of logic. You might want to try some different colors. So you don't have to obviously do, you know, purple wool and white wool. We could color, make everything out of not oak sapling. I don't want to do that. I was thinking maybe like I could do some jungle wood planks and what else? Birch wood, sponge. Oh, what would be fun? Just random stuff. Ice. Wonder what happens when I go ice and snow. Oh, ice and fire. No. Oh no, snow's not gonna be good. Well, I mean, I can try it. Okay, save and deploy. You can always experiment. Let's see what happens. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's kind of funny. Okay, so we get kind of that funny effect happening. So the snow actually kind of goes in the, kind of takes over that whole block. Okay, so I've got ice and wonder what happens when you go ice and what else can I put on there? Melon block, mushroom. Oh, sea lantern. Ooh, this will look cool at night. That's cool. I like that. I wonder what happens. So I don't think you guys can do this, but I'm a teacher, so I have control of the server. Oh, we have our lanterns. Very cool. I like that. It'd be nice for just like lighting up the way as I walk through the world. Love it. Yay. Okay, cool. So that's the end of that lesson. Have a go at experimenting, try some different materials, some different patterns, see what you can do, and see you guys next time. Bye!